Hello students, welcome to Avyan IAS Academy. I'm Anandi Ghosh and we will be further taking on the uses of tenses. In our previous lecture, we had talked about the utility of the past present tenses in the sentences, and in this lecture we will be talking about the utility of the past tenses. As you all might have known a lot about tenses, but in order to be a little more specific about where we should be using which of the past tenses, let us take a quick glance through them. For your simple past tense, it is usually used for an action that's completed in the past, and as I had told you repeatedly that we will not use the present perfect tense with the adverb of time. We will use the adverbial phrase of time with the past tense. For example, he went to school yesterday. So we are taking the phrase of the adverbial phrase of time along with the past tense. Please do not use a present perfect tense for this. We also use a simple past tense in order to talk about past habits. He cleaned the floor daily. This talks about any past habits which somebody was doing on a regular basis. So just in the way we talk about a regular habit which is happening at the present moment, where we use the simple present tense for that, for the simple past tense we will be taking up in order to talk about a habit that was in the past. When we say he cleaned the floor daily or he used to clean the floor daily, would refer automatically to the habit that it was happening in the past. Next comes the past continuous tense. It's, as we already know, it's the past continuous, or also in some places it's called the past progressive. All the continuous tenses are also in certain textbooks referred as the progressive tenses, because it talks about an action which is already in progression. For the past continuous tense, we would be talking about something that was ongoing in the past. Like example, I was eating my breakfast. So that is something that was happening in the past and the action was continuing for a certain point of time. So that is why we will be taking it under the past continuous tense. And it is also used for a past habit, usually obstinate habits, which is not breaking apart, because just in the way we were talking about simple in the present tenses about an obstinate habit which usually does not break free, we will be doing the same thing for the past continuous when we are referring to the habit which is not breaking free from us or anybody, but that was happening in the past. For example, my aunt was breaking a plate every day last week. So it's about an obstinate habit that was repeatedly happening in the past and from which we cannot break free. Next we come to is a past perfect tense. It talks about an action which was finished at a certain point of time. For example, he had been there for a while. And the more important utility of the past perfect tense is, please pay attention to this, because people keep on making errors in this past perfect tense. It is usually used to indicate the pastness of the past. When there are two actions both happening in the past, how will you explain which one is more in the past and which one is lesser in the past? In order to elucidate that point, we will be taking up the past perfect tense. For example, if we work with this sentence, when we reached the station the train had left. So as you can see, there are two parts of the sentence. When we had reached the station, that's the first part of the sentence, and the second part of the sentence is the train had left. So there are two things that is happening in the sentence. There is somebody who is reaching the station, and then there is a train which is leaving the station. So in order of a time reference, how would we be talking about it? That would be like, for example, you are in the present, and how would you be talking about it in the past? We will be taking it up in a way. If this is your scale of reference and there are two things happening, the train leaving and the people reaching. So which is more in the past? So as we have what the train had left. So with the utility of this had in the sentence, we make this in the past perfect tense, because when we are using the had, it shows that this action happened more in the past. And when we are just using the simple past tense, reached the station, this shows that this action had happened later. So in a time frame, of course in a linear time frame, when we are talking about two action, one which had happened before the other, in order to make it clear enough that one had happened before the other, we would be taking up the past perfect tense, and the action that happens later will be using the simple past tense. And it is the past perfect tense is also used to indicate an action, as I said, is now used to indicate two actions both in the past. So we can once again say that the past perfect tense is used to talk about the pastness of the past. And finally, we would be coming to the past perfect continuous or the past perfect progressive tense. It is used to talk about an action before a point of time and anything that was happening at a certain point. For example, if we say Mr. A visited the school in 1995. Mr. B had been working there for 5 years. So in this sentence also we are talking about two actions, about a certain Mr. A visiting a school in 1995 and about a Mr. B who has been working there for the last 5 years. So this sentence is indicative of the fact that at the time when Mr. A was visiting the school, Mr. B had already been working in that place for the last 5 years, which means he has been working there since 1990. So the action which was happening then is still continuing now, which means that it is not that he had left the school, but when a certain Mr. A arrived, Mr. B had already completed his tenure of a certain 5 years and he is still there and the action is still continuing, and hence it's a present progressive tense. Had the action been completed, it would have been the past perfect tense. So a quick recap of what we did today is we dealt with the uses of the past tenses in the simple past, the progressive, the past perfect and the past perfect continuous. So we dealt with the fact what are the situations and when we will be using one. First of all, do not use the adverb of time with the present perfect continuous. Always use it with the simple past tense. That is one strict thing that you must follow. And continuous tenses, as you know, talks about an ongoing action, And for the past perfect tense, it is used to talk about an action when there are two action happening in the past, and the one that happens more in the past would be taking the past perfect tense, and the one that is happening towards nearer to your present times would be taking the simple past tense. And for your past perfect continuous also, it might talk about one action or more than one action, and it is used to indicate about an action where it has been happening for a certain point of time and is still continuing, and hence it is called either the progressive or the continuous tense. So that's all for today. Stay tuned for more.